Winter's knocking, and if you're a reptile parent, you might notice your scaly buddies starting to slow down. That is brumation, the reptile equivalent to hibernation. And in this video, we're going to give you some quick tips so you both can chill through the cold months. So let's cover the signs and steps of brumation and also what not to do. Brumation is a natural slowing down period that many reptile species go through, including these Rankin's dragons, bearded dragons, a lot of turtles, and even some tortoises and snakes. It's triggered by shorter days and cooler temperatures, letting them conserve energy in the wild when food is scarce during the cooler months. Now, not all species need this, crested geckos being one of them, and sulcata tortoises being another. Animals like these come from either tropical or arid environments where they don't get much of a fluctuation change in temperature or daylight. Most of these animals are right around the equator, so they're not going to get that big fluctuation in temperature and light throughout the year. So they actually don't go through brumation. They are active for the majority part of the year. At most, some of these animals go through something called estivation, which actually happens during the summer months when it gets too hot, especially in the desert areas. And these animals will burrow underground for maybe a couple of weeks to sometimes a couple of months to escape the hot parts of the year. Now, before you put your animal into brumation or let them go into brumation, there are a few things that you want to check. You want to weigh them, make sure that their weight is good. You want to make sure that they are fully hydrated. If they either seem dehydrated or underweight at all, do not let them or do not put them into brumation, as this can risk harm or even death to them throughout the winter months. Leading up to the first couple of weeks before you put them into brumation, you want to make sure that their last couple of meals that they get are full of gut-loaded bugs and veggies, whatever type of animal you have. You want to make sure they get lots of nutrients, calcium and vitamin powders into their foods so that they have enough nutrients to last them through the whole winter where they're not going to be eating at all. For things like bearded dragons or Rankin's dragons, you want to make sure that you're gut loading your bugs before you're feeding them. If you don't know what gut loading is, check back in our video log. We have a whole video specifically about bugs and what to do with them for your animals. You want to make sure you're putting on the calcium powder and vitamin powder onto those bugs to give your beardies and your Rankins and your lizards all of the vitamins and calcium they need to make it through the winter. You're also going to want to make sure they have lots of water. Even throughout your entire brumation, you're going to be wanting to keep a fresh water bowl in there with them, as they may occasionally wake up throughout the winter, and you want them to be able to have access to water for hydration and soaking in. Some signs that your animal might be getting itself ready for brumation is eating less during mealtime or even skipping meals altogether. They'll also be seeking cooler ends and hide spots in their enclosure and resting more than you see them out basking or foraging or wandering around their enclosures. If you do plan on putting your animals down for brumation, or if they seem like they're ready to go down for brumation, this is usually going to start around mid-October, which is perfect because that's coming up right around the corner here, just another week or two. You want to drop their enclosure temperatures to start with. Daytime temperatures dropping to between 75 and 85 degrees. Nighttime temperatures down to between 65 and 75. You'll also want to make sure you control the humidity, no more than about 50 to 70% humidity for most animals. Also, you'll want to reduce their daytime hours. Right now, during the summer, they're probably on 14 to 16 hours of daylight. This time of year, you want to slow them down to about 10 to 12 hours of daylight. And depending on the species that you're keeping, they can go down to nothing. If you're going to put them in full brumation, like some tortoises and turtles, you can actually brumate in shoe boxes, which they'll have access to no light at all. Other animals like bearded dragons and Rankin's dragons and those kind of animals, I'll still put a daylight cycle on them, but you'll go down to probably about 6 or 8 hours of daylight every day rather than their 14 plus hours during the summer. You'll want to slowly reduce these daylight hours and their temperature over about 3 to 4 weeks, with their temperature eventually getting down to between 55 and 65 degrees for the entire winter. Now, these last couple weeks leading up to brumation, you'll want to stop feeding altogether and for at least 2 weeks before they go into full brumation to let their gut empty out any food that they have in there. You don't want any food left in your animal's gut throughout the winter because it can actually start to rot and cause them to get sick or even die. In preparation for brumation, you also want to add a couple extra hides and some extra leaf litter or some sort of loose substrate in their enclosure for digging around. Let them choose the right spot that they want to go into brumation to sleep through the winter in. You will want to do weekly checkups on your animals throughout the winter just to ensure that they are doing good. Make sure that they're not being dehydrated or that they're not losing a significant amount of weight. If you do see them looking dehydrated or look like they have severe weight loss, you do want to slowly wake them up out of brumation and take them to a vet to make sure that they're okay. The biggest thing, though, is you do not want to feed your animal until they are fully awake after brumation. So once brumation is over, which can vary for many species, for some animals it's as little as 4 to 6 weeks, and for some animals like my Rankin's dragons in particular can go in brumation for up to 4 to 5 months. I've had them in brumation for. So your animal will let you know when it's ready to come out of brumation. So as long as you're doing weekly checkups on them to make sure they're not dehydrated or losing any weight, just let them wake up on their own. They'll let you know when they're ready to come out of brumation. Now, when your animal is ready to come out of brumation, which for most animals is going to be around February, March, so you want to slowly start warming up the temperatures over about a week or two until you get to the normal temperature and daylight cycle you would have for your animals for the rest of the year. You'll want to slowly start feeding them. Their first couple of meals should be significantly smaller than their average sized meals during the warmer part of the months, just because they haven't eaten in several months now. So you don't want to overload them and get their guts full of food when they haven't eaten in a couple of months. Slowly ease them into it with some small meals. And after they start eating normally, watch for their energy levels to spike back up to their normal activity levels. If for some reason they seem more lethargic after a couple of weeks out of brumation than normal, or you see them not eating, or they look very underweight, make sure to take them to see your vet as soon as possible to make sure you can get ahead of any underlying issues that they may have and get them back to their normal weight and activity level and health. And there you have it. Safe brumation for happy reptiles. Comment down below with some of your brumation tips and stories that you have. Subscribe for more care tips. Comment down below with who you're getting ready to put down for brumation this year. And make sure to share this video with someone that you know that's getting their animals ready for the winter. And we'll see you in the next one.